Hey, if it's Tuesday, it is Shop Talk Tuesday. Hey, welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles Shop Talk Tuesday podcast installment, weekly chitter chatter. And today's topic, we're going to talk about bike frame parts detailing and how's that a benefit to those are cyclists, avid cyclists with your nice trusty steed to bike shops considering maybe this might be something to be an added service to their quiver of all their technical skills that they already do in the cycling realm. Hey, welcome back to another installment of Shop Talk Tuesday with Justin. I'm Justin, the guy at I Know a Guy Bicycles. Here in my garage shop, I basically do tune-ups and refurbish bikes and refurbish parts and frames and resale and all those things. I'm basically a bike shop in the garage, insurance, license, pay taxes, the whole 9 yards. And this is basically a perspective of your perspective. If you're a customer, what's happening behind the scenes in your shop. And if you're a bike mechanic or a bike shop owner or in the cycling industry or have been, this is your kind of safe place to jibber jabber and let's talk about shop stuff. Without further ado, let's dive into this. And if you're watching this on the replay, yes, this is a long video and this was live. So if you want to catch the next live one, tune in next Tuesday around 10 Mountain Standard Time in the US. And yes, I'm in Colorado, where it's very sunny today, going to be in the 90s. Right now, we're looking at about 80 degrees. So I'm having the garage shop door open to add some extra light, which is really going to be a case in point where I'm going to be really detailing, literally the detailing of the frames and parts and going over those particular pieces. If you have any questions, jump into the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, hit up the comments below. Please share if you have any tech tips of what your experiences of detailing either cars or anything to make it polish and shine and make look like new and perform and protect as best as you can. Please share. This is definitely a community, and thank you for being a part of this community. Six Pack Kid, thank you for joining in from Illinois. Nice. A little warm and humid up there, I bet. Thank you for chiming in. And yes, I basically decided to hit a bullet point of ceramic coating, which I've been doing, kind of testing the actual applications for bike usage in addition to as a service, as a shop. So there's going to be two huge main perspectives of this particular topic today. And basically the intro of it is, what is this stuff, right? I'm a bike shop guy. I've grew up in shops. I've worked in many shops. And yes, we would have a polish we would put on the frame, but never thought anything more than that, than just making the frame look kind of nice. Never really searched out and pursued the protective properties of waxes or ceramics or any of that to the bike frame, because we're always, as bike mechanics and bike shop owners, really just focusing on the function more than fashion. But when you look at some of these bikes that are coming out today with very beautiful paint jobs, or you want to have that extra layer of protection on there, and these are becoming more and more heavy investments for a lot of people, which is insane. So to help those who have invested into their multiple K, thousands of dollars product, you might want to make it a little bit protected and shiny and pretty and new. And some of these paint jobs that are coming out are phenomenal, kind of following the Klein days of pretty bikes and that kind of thing. So anyway, it's one of those deals where, I have been kind of working at it, searching in it, playing with the different products, got some products to sample from various companies, and just kind of, just really just kind of homing in the skills. And again, as a bike mechanic, and as if you're a mechanic or pretty much anything in life, you're usually always in the journey and you're always looking for better ways of doing it. I've been in the industry for 35 years working on bikes, and I'm always learning something new, even on old stuff that I've touched for decades. And it's one of those situations where this is another case in point where I'm pretty much at the beginning, if you look at a perspective of a span of time of my journey in this particular perspective. But I found it actually resonates well with my current customers and future customers alike, in any case. Oh, thank you so much, Six Pack Kid, for, buying me a coffee. Thank you so much. I'll put it to very good use and keep this old guy pumping along. Cheers. Thank you so much. Hey, Randy, thank you for chiming in. We just started. We're going to talk about ceramic coating and various cleaning techniques and so forth. I did launch kind of a service. Well, not kind of. It is a service for my shop of basically over beyond, kind of trying to acquire those new bike purchase customers where I don't sell new bikes. So therefore, that's a open field for me to dive into, and providing a service that includes detailing the frame and ceramic, detailing the frame and ceramic coating the frame and also some of the parts, in addition to waxing the chain brand new, and as well as doing a static fit. So I have that in my library. I do have a video of it too in my library on YouTube here too. So in any case, I was going to do a little, see if we can find a video file that on my recent bike that I just did a repair on. All right, let's see if this works. So I just worked on this breezer, and yeah, it's a few years older, but what it was basically essentially new. So I did this package treatment on it and doing that ceramic coating to the frame and so forth. And in addition to fenders, so it adds that shedding, beading qualities to shed off the bike and made the bike basically pop and be brand new. So, or brand new like, and that really just kind of elevated their expectations. Well, not elevated their expectations, but basically over exceeded their expectations when they brought it in. Like, oh, we had some issues, a little tune up. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't need a lot of like technical work. Basically, it's because it was pretty new, just do double check. So I really elevated it to higher performance for shifting, better protection for the frame, fenders, and all of that. And when they come in, I'll do a little static fit for them so they have the best experience possible out of the gate. So keeping that in mind, a lot of bike shops are right now specifically really looking for other opportunities in their service department to leverage better outcomes for their customers and their community, because that's really the driving portion of our business that's keeping us afloat. Because as everybody has seen, sales are pretty static and service is pretty much being leveraged by all that way. Oh, here I am. Sorry about that. Lost track of my clicking. And again, you're watching this live, you're going to have to go through the painful parts of a bike mechanic trying to do YouTube and social media. So here we go. Yeah, so that's kind of the intro into it. We got some people joining in. Yeah, this might be something you're like, oh, this doesn't resonate, but take a listen, because you might pick up on some techniques or some things that you may find that might be beneficial. It might not be the whole ceramic coating bit, or maybe it's a one-off. One of you individuals that has a shop chimed in, and this is kind of inspired this video topic because they heard about wax chains, they're doing wax chains, know about fitting, of course, but the whole ceramic thing or detailing and all that is really kind of like, how do we fit this in a model? Well, I've been playing with that concept for the last year and a half, and I do have some frames behind me that are testers. So I do a little testing about a year ago, which coincidentally works really well for this particular video today. But in any case, so yeah, it's one of those things where it may not resonate exactly, but hey, if you have somebody coming in and they had a new car and they took it to their detailer and had a ceramic coating done on their brand new fresh paint on their car or their boat, or you know where I'm going with this. It's out there, and I don't think it's really been capitalized or utilized, depending on your perspective, being a consumer or a bike shop, to really leverage that. And a couple companies have tried. They put some products out there. Muck-Off has some ceramic thing that's going on. Really haven't tested it or played with that. And then Silka has their own little kit, which has kind of has those graphene, ceramic kind of flavors to it. But it really doesn't have any clear pathway. And this is what I'm going to provide to you today as a consumer, as well as a bike shop's perspective of what your pathway is on using these products. Because for me, it was a stumbling like a toddler trying to figure out this myself, because there's really not anything out there that's specifically to the cycling realm, but there's a whole crap ton of videos about cars. So you do ceramic coating on cars, bam, you could be there for days on end. And there's a lot of information out there, let's put it that way. But be able to weed through all of that and actually specifically do it to these guys, that's what I'm here for. So thank you for joining in and welcome. So, okay, without all of that, I'm gonna write down some time steps so I can like start off here. Benefits to new or old bikes for ceramic coating and so forth. 12. Oh, I got my lightsaber. Got that as a gift. Pen. Yeah, go Star Wars. Depends if you're a rebel or on the dark side. Yeah, okay. Well, let's venture on both. Okay, first we're going to talk about new bikes. Okay, you got yourself a new bike. It's pretty. It shifts great. Kind of fits you well. Gone for your first couple rides. Mountain, gravel, whatever the case may be. But you're looking at, and sometimes buying a new bike is driven by the actual color of the bike. Oh man, that's a sweet looking bike. I want to, like, that's awesome. But your mindset usually stops right there. You're like, oh, you don't think about how am I going to protect that frame from chipping or scratches and all that. Well, if it's a mountain bike, they have like these, the protected guards or sleeves or kind of like wraps, if you will, that, plastic pieces you put on there. And road, there really is not much. And anybody's had a road bike for a while and got road, grit and grime underneath, you just feel it and you pick at it, tar and what have you, it's nasty. And all of us have been riding for a while. We've always gotten into some scenario where there's mud, rain, grit, sandstorm, all at play. Same thing is also exposed to vehicles. So all these car products that are actually been homed in and scientifically polished, if you will, to their best performance will work really and does work really well on frames. So going with the first topic of it is superior protection. Superior protection is, it's not going to prevent scratches, but it's going to cut down all those little micro scratches. Like if you get a little sand on your paint and you wipe it down with a wet cloth getting off that sand, well, you're still putting that micro abrasion material, sand, and scratching up that clear coat surface of that paint. So it adds a protective layer there, and that prevents those, smaller micro abrasions and that kind of thing. So that does help in that portion of it for sure. Is it like a shield of all shields? No, and it isn't for your car either, but it does help prevent those scratching portions of it. And it does really, if you do it on a newer paint and you clean it in the process, and I'll show that here. I got two bikes. One's a fairly new bike, which is pretty much new, never been ridden. And then I got this one that's been ridden and also had a little car rack incident, which is in for that, but I'm going to be I'm going to be detailing the frame for this good customer of mine to kind of make him feel better about his bike again. I got parts, bars, seat, and stuff to replace on that too, but the detailing portion of it's going to really help enhance that. But what it does is just makes the that paint pop, and I've done it on a couple of new bikes, and you think like, oh, you're not going to get that much of a visual change or effect, but man, once you put a polish on there and slam a ceramic coating on top of that, it just makes it come alive. Like, wow, this is really makes it pop. And then you have the long-term prevention and saving the paint. because a lot of those, other than waxes wear off pretty quick, which you can put on a new bike, but the ceramic coating has a UV protection, so it protects that colored dye to stay as vibrant as since it was new. So all those perspectives really kind of get that frame the best chance possible. And granted, you're not, obviously we ride bikes outside, and most of us don't do it all the time inside, so it's going to have the elements exposure, but not as much as cars. So because your car usually sits outside. Case in point, I'm staring at mine right now that I did a ceramic coating on a few months back. But it's the whatever you do as prevention on the frame and componentry with ceramic coating or other waxes or whatever you might want to use is going to last a hell of a lot longer, and you use a heck of a lot less. So a big bottle of 16 ounces, let's say it'll go 2, 3 cars, maybe 4. I mean, it's going to get you 10 to 15 bikes worth of cleaning, polishing, and all those things. So keeping that in mind. So yeah, it might be a little bit heavier lift on cost a little bit up front, but it's going to last for, it might be the last thing you need to buy for like a good decade of bike cleaning and polishing and so forth. So we're going to go through the details on that here in a minute, but just going through the benefits of what it is for a new bike. So that would kind of wrap up what it does for a new bike. Prevention of UV protection, that water barrier, beading, shedding old stuff off, and that kind of thing. So when you're looking at old bikes, what are the benefits there is kind of like your restorational bit of it, in which I've been doing a lot of refurbishing, not restoring. That's a whole, that's the way you're trying to get it back to like new. Restoration is not, refurbishing is get it as best as you can without spending days on end and matching decals and paint color and all that. It's kind of, well, I guess the lighter way of doing it, but that's where bike shops, that's all we really have the time and to put into it, but you're getting those benefits. So kind of that restoring the bike into more of a like new position. So if you have an older bike and you're looking to sell it, or ride it, or you love the paint like an old Klein. I got one floating around here somewhere. And you want it to just last longer. You just want this paint, like he bought this Project One bike, like, let's say 10 years ago. And you're like, oh, I really want this pretty paint job to keep. So yeah, doing this, you can do it on old. It's not that if you didn't do it right at the beginning, you're behind the 8 ball. Basically, this process of polishing that restores the paint, and then you clean it and put a nice ceramic coating on top of it will preserve what's still there. Case in point, I have a video on a Serotta eye retina burning orange frame. And I did the ceramic coating on that. It came out beautiful. It was already faded in some spots, but since I did the detailing and so forth, it's really, you can't tell. So looking at the older bikes, you can do that for sure. And making it, for both new and used, it makes it easier maintenance down the road. Why I say that is, case in point, several of my customers have come back after having ceramic coatings done to their frames, gone into some messy rides, and all I had to do is a light spritz of water from their hose, and everything just shedded right off. It didn't stick to the paint, didn't cake up on those component pieces that I put a coating on. It really just kind of shed everything off, and therefore it makes it easier to maintain and clean and so forth. All right, Forbin Colossus, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. RK Bells, thank you for joining in. So let me get through this little for intro section first here. We'll do some chat. Okay, so easier maintenance. Yes, it makes it a lot easier. And as the bike mechanic that's worked on bikes that come back that's had ceramic coating done on them, it's a little bit easier to clean. It's like shedding off, a little bit easier to clean, less elbow grease. That gunk underneath from road riding seems to come off a little bit easier. Dirt, mud, whatever other contaminants. It just helps the customer, the rider, keep their bike maintained and cleaned, and also helps the mechanic, do less of that and more focused on the technical aspects of the bike, but also refreshing them. There's also a bit here where a lot of people even in the ceramic coating car world, forget about, because they think about just ceramic coating the car and they're done. Kind of not. And that's with, regardless, but there's easy ways to do it. And again, what I'm trying to, everything, if any takeaway you get from this, it's like, sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty darn dumb simple. Stupid simple, something like that. Any case, it's one of those situations where I overcomplicated it and then I rolled it back and it's like, oh, this is all you really need to do. And to apply it to bikes, super easy. Just a couple mindful tricks that you want to do so you're not messing other stuff up, and I'll get into that in a little bit here, going into the new bike perspective. But in any case, and the last bit of the old bike portion is value retention. If that bike stays as pretty as possible and protected frame for fading and what have you, has anybody seen any of those bikes from the 80s that had any neon on it and seen them in today's, used market? That looks rough. Not to say they'll save neon for 40 years, but hey, it's definitely going to save some of that color for a little bit longer, for sure. So in any case, I just wanted to point that out. All right, let's see here. Let's review. I made it time. Let's do this. All right, Randy, let's do it. Yeah, so, adding this to your new or used bike is definitely a benefit. So we're going to shift gears here, and we're going to go into the consumer's perspective of how do you do it yourself, that kind of thing. So we'll get that here in a second. I worry about the chemical use, always checking the MSDS, material safety data sheets. Yes, always, for all products. You just don't assume. And that's therefore you wear protective glasses and gloves when you're doing any of these, even though it may seem harmful, that kind of thing. Just always double check that on any new products you're going to be using, especially cleaners and degreasers and that kind of thing, for sure. Good, valid point there. Colossus, good point. Can the coating help the inside a steel frame to prevent rust, or is it just that overkill? There is a specific product talking about crazy toxic products for inside steel frames, and it's been out forever. It's the JR Wiggles Frame Saver. This stuff here. This is kind of nasty stuff. I mean, technically you could just spray inside there with some ceramic coating rolled in there, and once it evaporates all out, you'll have a protected coating, but it's not going to probably get as thick as you want it to be, that kind of thing. Yeah, it would protect it for sure. When you do a frame saver or any of this kind of product that goes on the inside of the frame, this is a sidebar, I'll make a note of it. You need your frame stripped down to this level. And yes, that means everything. This becomes like a glue bonding agent. So if you have any kind of bits that are still in there, even the bottle mounts, it'll glue them in there. It just basically is putting a hard coating on the inside of it. This is great for steel frames, and if you're in a high humid climate or exposure to a lot of water and that kind of thing, yes, it's very beneficial. I'm in Colorado where it's very arid. Really don't need to do this all too much. But if we were in Michigan for a couple of years, and yes, this is something that was one of the services, if you're a shop, that probably already does this. And it's nasty. You put paper towels on the end, you spray inside, move it all around, let it dry, and do it again. You could probably do that with a ceramic coating. It's probably not going to be as aggressive, but you definitely want to make sure. Then I, case in point, accidentally left my seat post in there. It sees the damn thing in there. So it took a lot of effort to get that out. So good point. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. RK Bells. I want to ceramic coat my new 24-inch ATF frame. Interested to see this. All right, thank you. It's really is not as hard as you think. If it's new, it's a lot easier, and that's where I kind of like added this new package to my package because it's a lot easier to do it when it's new, and it's not as much correction of the paint to get it to that level before you put the ceramic coating. Oh, you ceramic coated your Audi? Nice. So this is going to really resonate to those who are already familiar with ceramic coatings with cars and boats and stuff. But in any case, it's one of those scenarios where if you haven't heard of it, it's out there, and I'm just going to help you with that journey of getting into it. So, all right, so let's go into the customer's perspective of how to do this and what products I'm going to be using. So, all right, we're going to do a little timestamp here. Man, time is flying. All right, so I'm going to try this. I've got a lot of things I want to talk about on this. I know it sounds like it's going to be overkill. And if you're watching this on a replay, I'm going to be time-stamping this. So if you could just watch the bits that you want to watch and skip over the parts that you don't feel that's resonated, or you can loop back at a later time. And also, when I do live, hopefully you're not seeing ads. I don't have the ads turned on, but once it goes into the cycle of a regular video, the ads kick in. So if you're watching this on the replay, I do apologize. It seems like they really add a lot of ads to it. I try to thin that out. Sometimes I forget. I am a bike shop guy, so I'm like constantly busy in the shop, and the technical pieces of the YouTube back end of things sometimes don't really get to all of it. But in any case. All right. Oh, Stu, S-T-U. Ha-ha. Funny, I just did this on my flat black carbon frame, and it really made the carbon pop. Yeah, you can put it on pretty much all surfaces. It might make a little shine a little bit on a duller paint, like a matte style, but it's not going to like overkill and become super, super shiny, that kind of thing. So I'm going to have to do some little positioning here. So you're going to feel an earthquake moment. So hopefully you're not sensitive to that too much. So I got this fancy little mountain bike enduro stump jumper, not stump jumper, Specialized, and it basically has never been ridden maybe like twice, that kind of thing, and the interludes, you know. Basically, it's in my shop for me to clean up. Well, don't really need to clean up too much, but basically sell. So there's two foods of thought on this. Sorry, I went out of screen. Need an applicator. So with a new bike, if you're doing it yourself, this is something where it's pretty easy. You just need it to be clean. All right. And first, by cleaning it, if you only ridden it like 50 miles, 25 to 50 miles, first couple rides, it's okay. But regardless of it coming off the showroom floor or not, they still could have dust, basically, that's settled on there. So essentially, that's what you're going to be doing, is just kind of prepping the surface area. And if it's newish or new, basically rubbing alcohol does the trick. There is a product that is specific through Lithium, which is Hyper Clean, which is all purpose, all surface clean. That's what I would use. I already ran out of it, so the second best thing is rubbing alcohol. And you don't have to scrub unless you do have some areas that might have a dirt on it. But basically, you just go over the areas of the whole bike. The only tricky bit for bikes versus cars is we have all these little angles and inside and outside. So like on a car, you go over it, that area or a panel or what have you once. Well, the bike, you need to do it maybe a couple times in a couple different directions to make sure everything gets at least coated once. So basically you go through the whole frame. And if you're really skilled, you can take the wheels off, and that kind of opens up those areas to reach in. It's, you don't have to do that if you don't feel comfortable taking the wheels off. And when I do any kind of chemicals of any sort to a bike frame, always, especially if the wheels and the rotors and everything's still on there, spray it in the rag first. Don't let those particles bleed out over to other parts. You just don't want to do that. I see videos of them just blasting bikes with all that stuff. If you're not going to be immediately going to that bike and tearing it down and rebuilding it back up, don't do that, because you can contaminate your brake pads, you can mess up your drivetrain, clear out the grease pivots, that kind of thing. So good note, light and polite, put it on the rag first, clean those areas, okay? And that just needs to dry. Rubbing alcohol or the hyper clean pretty much dries instantly. And then you can either, it's suggested to use kind of a pad like this. These are super cheap from Amazon, Walmart, wherever your favorite click collect or click shopping cart if you like to go. You can do either or. Some of these do look a little dingy. They've been cleaned. They've been stained. But this is more of a newer one here. And granted, this is a 16-ounce bottle of ceramic slam, right? I've gone through several dozen bikes with just one bottle. I have some on the way. I just ordered some more up. So I just have a little bit here. Even this little bit, I can probably get another 4 bikes out of it. I mean, it's just, that's how little that you use. And what you do is you either spray it on your applicator or your rag, and you just put a little coat on there, and then you just apply it. And what this does, you just put it on the coat, and with the applicator with the wheels off, I go in all the little nicks and crannies, that kind of thing. And especially if it's a full suspension, you might want to use a rag, get it on the rag, then you can kind of floss it in all those areas. And again, spray away from the bike and then apply. And with most of these ceramic coatings, I'm using the Lithium ceramic slam, but I've also been using Adam's version of graphene ceramic and some others. And what I found is the best application is like you go through the bike once, and this is what they call stacking. And it's kind of, it's self-explanatory. You let it dry for like 10 to 15, 20 minutes, and then you reapply. And ceramic slam is really a stacking ceramic coating. So you can go back and go through it again and hit the bike all over around another time. I'd usually do about 3. And once I go 3 times all around the bike, that gives me the ability to make sure that I got all the spots. So at least all the spots have gotten coated once, at least maybe twice. And for the most of it, 3 times. And I really do hit it hard, like underneath the bike, like where spray comes up, and also the inside of the chain stays. Give it another little coating there. The reason being is that's where the most contaminants are going to stick, like mud and so forth. Anybody who's gotten into a nice mud fest ride, you know it's going to cake up all in here underneath. And it's also okay for your shock legs and so forth. The stanchions you probably can still put on. All it is going to make it slick. Just make sure it's clean before you encapsulate that area. So this works really well with pretty much mixed materials. So aluminum, so if it's a polished aluminum frame, titanium, works fine. Plastics. So you can use the same stuff on your cable housing. Or I do on the derailleurs themselves, like the casings and so forth. That helps, shed and also crank arms. So when I do an overhaul, the bike bits are all over my counter, been cleaned with ultrasonic cleaner. Then when I'm cleaning the rims, which you can do the rims too, and the spokes. And another interesting trick about the spokes too, a lot of the black spokes, there's more of a oil coating, and this kind of captures that oil coating to keep it stay black. Because some of those super cleaners will make these look more bronze, or they fade to some silverish, basically ugly. That's a way of keeping it from getting the nasty looking. And I do floss once the wheels are off, or you can do it on the bike. You can do the rims, the spokes. So be careful of your rotor. You don't want any of this stuff on a rotor, or any chemicals around your rotor. And the drivetrain is okay. But you just basically focus on the hub, spokes, rims, but avoid the componentry portion except for the cranks, derailleurs, the external bits and so forth. Ceramic is used in a lot of different things like for bearings and so forth. This is just a liquid version of it, and that builds up that layer. So the trick is on these guys, it takes about 20 or 30 minutes to what they call flash or cure. Some brands are more finicky than others, like the Atoms, Graphenes, or the higher 5-year. These are designed for 8 to 12 months for cars. So think about it, for bikes, it's going to be a couple of years at least, right? But the other brands, or most brands, will have like a super intense ceramic, which is in a smaller bottle that costs 3 times more, and that's supposed to be like a 5-year version of that. But what I'm trying to get to is they all flash at a certain level, and some you have to wipe down during that flash point. But what I found with ceramic slime, even though if you stack it, it'll look like a haze, but you can wipe it down an hour or 2 later. It's going to be fine. Knocking it down, that's what it is. So you knock it down, and you'll feel like a tug right at first when that haze is there. And once you push through that tug, it becomes super slick. Then just let it cure overnight. Then you're ready to go. Super nice. So when I do my tune-ups, I let it cure overnight, and then I proceed to put the parts on and everything else either 2 or 3 hours later or overnight the next day. So I do it in stages, that kind of thing. But that will definitely give it an extra level. And I'm sorry, the quality, recording quality is not going to show, but it still looks matte, but it's more of a polished matte, more slick looking than the back chain stay here, which is more of a duller. So you are polishing the matte coloring a little bit, but it just makes it super slick, and then all that, spray, contaminants and so forth is just going to it will just fall off on that. So it's pretty, that's it. I mean, clean, wipe it on, and then wipe it off. And kind of feel like the Karate Kid moment here. But in any case, instead of it's ceramic on, ceramic off. Yeah, bad dad joke. So you got yourself a ceramic coating, and you're like, yay, it's great. It sheds all this stuff off, and I've gone through some horrendous nightmare rides and what have you, and all that stuff, and it's doing great. But it doesn't seem to be working as well after all that kind of exposure abuse. Probably more so on gravel bikes and mountain bikes than in road. Not saying roads are dainty. They have their own exposures, but not usually with clumpy mud. But in any case, that's your ceramic coating. And it's there, and it'll last quite a long time. Just like lubing your drivetrain, there's a refresher, right? Well, they have from Lithium, and also other products will have this. It's basically a refresher ceramic boost, basically, and some of them is called a boost. And from color, it's Lithium's Color Crush, and what this does is once you rinse the bike off, water, shed it, let it dry, or wipe it off dry, and then you can use the Color Crush. And once you put this on, this is basically making that frame more vibrant again. I'm going to show and tell on a frame that's been exposed outside for over a year. But this is just water, and you get a super high bead content, and that's what that is. So once it starts flattening, which they call flattening in the auto industry, it basically becomes like more of a mirror, not as high bead concentrated. That's when you're starting to lose, or where basically the ceramic coating is getting kind of mucked up, like it's getting a lot, contaminants from dust and dirt and whatever, and metals and materials and all that, whatever's been in the air and everything in between. That high bead will disappear and become more flat. So what you do is you clean it, rinse it off, then you take your Color Crush to revive it, and we'll show that on a demo on another bike I put ceramic coating on already. And so you feel like you want to polish your bike up again after a month or two of riding it, and you rinsed it off. This is what you use. And what this is doing is basically restoring that ceramic coating. Easy peasy, right? And that gives you the UV protection, gives you the high bead water content, It sheds off dirt and grime a lot easier. It has a little bit of a scratch prevention, micro scratching prevention. It's not gonna, if it falls over in your garage and hits a sandpaper, it's not gonna do that, but it's gonna help a little bit with that. So keeping that in mind, that's what we're looking at for the consumer's perspective, and you can do this at home. It'll just take you, I mean, I don't know, about an hour. I mean, from beginning to clean to knocking it down, maybe an hour later. But it's really going to help out that bike's frame and componentry, wherever you want to put it on. And it's okay to do on brake levers, shifters, seats. All these bits can be used with the ceramic coating on there that is designed to do multiple surfaces. And a lot of companies, okay, you go to any of their websites, some of them are just pages upon pages upon pages of products. And it's like a marketer had a field day. I mean, they just took the same thing and made it 4 different things and made it marketing for different things. Lithium's a little bit more straight to the point products. It's like, this does this, this, and this, done. Which is kind of nice. You go to Adams, it'll give you lost for days. And, they have a customer base for that. They have customers that want, oh, I want treatments for tires and, alloy or polished or whatever. But this is more general and actually works well on all general. And it's been, Lithium's been around for 20 years. They've been doing a lot of testing. Talked to the owner. He seems like a pretty cool cat, and he got into it not really to make a huge business out of it. He's interesting. He's like, he's already made his income, like his money. He's like, this is my project and it's my passion project. So therefore you get a little more heart and soul versus just the corporate push. Anyway, didn't want to go there too much, but that's why I kind of fell in love with their products. Plus they're USA made and out of Utah, in any case, if you're into that kind of thing. So that kind of sums up the new bike experience. This is a mountain bike. You can do it on a road. They probably have more intense off-road ceramic graphene mixes, which I'll devise a kit for that to help shed mud, which is going into the motorcycle off-road motocross portion of this. Right now I'm just doing a generalization, so you can do this on all bikes. So in any case. All right, the next part we're going to talk about is the dirty bike over here. So give me a second here to do that. But while you're sitting here and watching me do that, why don't you just Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy. Hey, I'm Justin, the guy in the garage. I do have a garage shop, and you see most of these tools behind me. I want to do a shout out to Jensen's USA, which you'll find a link below if you're looking for some good pricing and as well tools to fit or to expand your actual shop at home. All right. Okay. Oh, I got a lamp that's in the way here. So this bike was, it was purchased from me. Great customer down in Parker, which is an hour and a half away. He's enjoying his ride. Loves this bike. He has a couple other ones. So that being said, a 6-pack kit. Yeah, the brands I prefer so far, and I'm always open. So things are always open and change. Right now, I've been using Lithium. That seems to works really well, and it's pretty easy, user friendly. And I've also used the Adams product. That one's a little more, I would say, temperamental to use, but it works well too. At the end, like I was talking about the flash portion of it, how it dries and so forth. That's where it can be a little tricky because you got to, if it flashes on you and you don't get a chance to knock it down just at the right time, then you have to reapply it basically to make it smooth. Because it looks like a smeared glass, like with bad window cleaner, and that's what it ends up looking like. So, in any case, all right, we're at 44. All right, so we're gonna, okay, shop detail or used bike. Okay. Um, so you got yourself a used bike. You're gonna need to do a little bit more work. And that being said, cleaning, polishing, restoring, because you don't want to take this dirt and stick it right onto the, you slam a coating on there. Yeah, I use, I have videos on using a Dremel tool with a polish, and I'll just do a short version of this. But first, you want to clean the frame. By cleaning that, soap, water. I sometimes use what they call purple power, diluted with water. So we're just going to do a section here, just to give you an idea. So you got all this dirt and stuff. So instead of doing this, smashing it in there, you just want to do water because, again, I don't like spraying stuff that's not water onto the frame. But you can try to rinse off as much of that external dirt as possible. And then you take your purple power and then you try to clean that area and get that up. And sometimes you'll have to use a little bit harsher chemicals. That's where the professional fits in, like a degreaser, but something light and polite. And I do have videos on showing how to do this to get like super gooky sticker, paint, all that kind of stuff. This is right in the way, isn't it? There you go. So you want to get basically to the clear coat and all that gunk off. And sometimes there's a couple rounds of doing this. So the other nice thing on a used bike when you're doing this is several steps. It's a little more intense because you got to really clean. You want to get, it's a lot of prep work. That's where even on cars, if it's not brand new, they're going to charge a lot of money because they have to detail the frame and the paint and correct it to the point to be polished and then ceramic coated. So you're talking, for a car, I've seen them around $1,200 to $1,300 to $1,500, if not more, to have that done. And that's because it's all the prep work beforehand. What I just showed you is the easy part, putting the coating on. This is the hard part, making sure it's all super clean and ready to go, that kind of thing. So in the professional setting of me, I take some of the polish. Once I get it clean, you can do corrective, but compound, where you just take a polish, use it on a rag. But this is the pro version. You have a little tool here that does a little bit of buffing. And that really kind of cleans up that paint, corrects it, smooths out that clear coat, gets that color to really pop and everything. But if you're doing any of those kind of chemicals of cleaning and cleaning agents and so forth, then you need to go back to cleaning that off. Again, either the hyper clean, which I'm out of, which I actually do have a little bit of left, or rubbing alcohol. But the hyper clean, there's a little bit left in there, which is this stuff right here. And the craziest what came out of this as an experiment, bar tape that's not black, anything that's a color, gets dingy and grimy. That all surface cleaner on a rag, and you just kind of manipulate the padding of the grip tape, pulls all that dirt right off. It makes it almost like new, clean again. So what you need to do is clean that surface, so you're taking out all that compound or polishing agent, so you really are just left with the clear coat and the paint. That's what you're shooting for. And once you do that, and this is the micro shot, but if you're doing it at home, it's probably best to get your wheels off so you can get all into the grind and gritty and so forth. So this is where my tune-up portion really helps, because I get everything off, and then you do your fixing. But if you're doing it at home, then you do your applicator or your rag, put it on there, and do a couple different angles and so forth. Let it sit, dry for like 5-10 minutes, come back, do another coat on that. So the grime and grit and all the stuff you saw on there that I had to wash off, that'll be a lot easier. It almost would come off with water, or just a little bit of the more of aggressive degreaser. They do have degreasers specifically for cleaning, for ceramic coating on there. Lithium makes, and this has a graphene series, so they have Grime Wave that does that. And also this is the waterless version of cleaner, which is, both are suggested once a ceramic coating on there to clean it if you have some stubborn areas that you need to really clean it. And this is like after a couple years and the refresh is no longer working anymore and you want to do a whole new coat on there. But for first swipe, brand new, needs to be done. That's the process. And then again, once it dries, after it'll leave a haze, and then you do the knockdown, and boom, super slick. So just looking here, and I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see this that well with the, it's not high def, not 4K, it's high def, but we're in 4K recording. But this is going to, pop. It's going to just, it's going to be super slick to the touch, and it's just going to bring out all that decaling and fresh. Am I going to be able to get all these scar cuts out of it? No. If you're really into refurbishing, you're really into like auto body detailing, that kind of thing with touch-up paint and all that, if you're very handy of that type, that's what you'll do to correct that, to restore, not refurbish. But this is the refurbish end result, and then this will be the whole frame. What's nice about it, when you do this, you're going over the bike like 7-8 times, and you're going through all those corners and crannies where you may have not really paid attention to. And if you may find at some point, hopefully not ever in your life, you may not come across a problem like this. Right here, I thought it was dirt, and it actually is, the frame is cracked. So, it was underneath the brake caliper. I didn't really see it when I purchased the bike. So once I really got into cleaning the bike, was super dirty. I mean, worse than all this. And but then, the point is, regardless if you're doing it yourself or a mechanic working on a bike, that gives you an opportunity to go through the frame several times and getting all to the little areas where those scary little booger cracks, questionable parts and all that. Going to be doing it on this one too. If you haven't noticed, it has like a ground down end of a bar. This was on a bike rack and did one of these and hit the road on the side, so the contact points, you can see the sheared off saddle here, some new seat bars, pedals. But it's not just replacing the parts and doing the tune-up on it. The trailer hanger is all mogered up too. Is basically I want to strip this down to the frame, so I'm super detailing the frame, also cleaning, also inspecting, and make sure nothing else got compromised. So it's a big safety thing, especially on an older bike or a bike that you may have bought used. This is something that's really, really good to do. And at the end result, on an older paint even, it's going to protect it with UV protection. Water B concentration is going to be high. I mean, I just put that on there, and you can see it just beads up really tight and drops right off. So that's the huge benefit portion of doing it onto a used bike there, as a customer perspective. So a little bit more of a lift, but if you've been riding the bike, it gives you an able opportunity to really do the detail, get into it, know your bike well, because that baby's underneath you. It's holding you up. It's going down the high miles per hour you're flying, or kilometers, wherever you live. You're speeding down those hills, and that slickness is going to give you like so much faster. Just trim your beard hairs and you'll be a lot faster. But hey, whatever. That's really going to help out. But it also, protects that color, makes it easier to wash, because when you have dirt, it just sheds right off. And we'll show that here in a minute. But that's where, if it's your trusty steed, your baby, you want to, give it a little attention, give it a little bit of love, and it'll protect it a long time. And again, on this guy, after a certain amount of time, it starts flattening out. Then you can use that boost of some sort or a color crush, which has that technical, what is it, the SiO2 chemical in it to help bring that back to life, kind of thing, that kind of deal. So that's what you got there. So that's kind of like what you're going to be doing as a consumer perspective of getting that frame. Get underneath it pretty good. But then again, with any of those polishes or anything, be leery of your brake pads or disc rotors, that kind of thing. But you can take your wheels off and clean the hubs and all that, and get it all detailed. So that's the customer's perspective 101. In the description, I think I put it in there, or I will. There's like 4 products. There's going to be a surface cleaner, a polish from Lithium, the ceramic slam, tripping, that popped off, and the refresh color crush. So that gives you the journey from polishing the frame to cleaning it, to clean, to polish, to clean, to ceramic coat, to refresh with those 4 products. And just get yourself some inexpensive fibercloth cloths from wherever you like to hit the shopping cart button, either Amazon or Walmart, whatever, but the applicators, I do like the circular applicators. That really helps kind of curve around areas and so forth. But if you need to floss it because you got chain rings still on there and so forth, use a rag on that. So that's where we're, or Harbor Freight. Thank you for chiming in on that. Yeah, Harbor Freight's a good one too, for sure. All right. Thank you all for hanging out. There's quite a few of you. This is not like, Chicken Little, this guy's following industry news, pushing of it. This is kind of an after effect of, everything went to crap, and now we got to figure out better services to take care of our community. So if you're in that camp, which a lot of bike shops, if not all of them, need to enhance their service department. I'm sure all of you have either started doing wax chains or actually are thinking about doing it. And also, hopefully you're thinking about maybe doing a static fit on bike pickups. That kind of introduces the sales staff, because some people just don't want to talk to them, and gives them an opportunity to be fitted on their trusty steed. And it gives that, not be pushy. I mean, I can go a different direction, so be careful with that. But what you could do is just do a static fit, make sure it's just minor adjustments. That could either help you upsell your actual fit services, number 1. Number 2, if they have any questions, teach them how to use their gears. That's huge. A lot of these people bought these bikes used during COVID, never been fitted, never been taught how to use gears. Those little gold nuggets, you'll get a customer for life. And if your shop is doing that, you're going to want to go there for whatever you feel comfortable going there, and that's the whole point. So there alludes, and it's a great segue into adding detail services to bike shops. Dun dun dun. Going into the 2nd hour, which I need to do my timestamp here. Sorry, you got a good earshot, literally. So I can't see. 57. This is 58. Okay. So thank you guys for hanging in there. Thank you for commenting. If any of you have done ceramic coating, detailing any of that to either cars or boats and even bikes, please comment in the chat or put in the comments below if you're watching this on the replay. And again, this is a live stream that if you're watching this on the replay, it's long. So I will be putting timestamps on here, and you will be subjected to all the advertising that goes with it, as well as my plugs. Anyway, any case, looking at bike shops, and a good portion of you that love hanging out or listening to this and Shop Talk Tuesday are in a shop. You are working on bikes, or have been, or have worked in the industry, and just love to hear my old guy perspective of been around the sun a few times, and plenty of scars on the fingers to show for it from working on bikes. And it's love you guys. You're my community, as well as the cyclists, and I love giving the warm hug, and I love finding a platform or area where as a community we can all come together and go, hey, I feel comfortable asking these questions here, or maybe I get some insights I would not have gotten, or I've gotten straight perspective of industry or what have you. Any case, so thank you for one of you. I forget which handle it was. that I mentioned in one of my prior videos, like, well, I've heard of wax chains, I'm doing that in my service department. Fitting, we fit all our bikes, so maybe we need to add that to our service too. But I really don't know or understand or put my head around what's the service or how to apply it to my shop. Well, the easiest thing is put it to your highest level package, and I know. And you can put it on a lower, but the reason being is that you want all this stuff off. Makes it a lot easier once you get all that stuff off. And the purpose of getting all this stuff off is typically not to detail the frame. It's really to clean the drivetrain, replace some cables, clean the brakes up. I mean, I do overhaul in a sense. I'm pulling the cranks. It gets all the stuff out of the way. Well, the aha moment for me is like, it's all off. Okay, now I start putting on all the products. While I'm either waiting for my ultrasonic cleaner to burst through all that gunk, or I'm trimming the wheels, and it's like, oh, instead of just cleaning the rim, well, why don't I just run over it with some ceramic wax coating while I'm here? And then the rim breaks, I clean off with rubbing alcohol after I do all that, add a little Armor All to the tire, makes it pop. Makes those wheels like, boo! And it just doesn't make it look good. It's gonna function better in the sense that when it gets dirty, it's gonna shed all that stuff off. When it gets easier to clean for the customer later on, yes. Is it a protective barrier from contaminants on those wheels? Yes. It's attention to detail, that kind of thing. Keep the coloring of those spokes black. Those kind of, and the hubs. You've seen the black, used to be black hubs that look copper. I mean, it'll help with that. So attention to details. Plus, you're again going over the wheel one more time to make sure you didn't miss any cracks or anything weird there. So it's, yeah, it is a little extra time, but not as much as you think. And once this is already soaked with that cleaner and you have your parts all laying out drying, go hit those parts real quick. Get your rear derailleur. It's like, get that coated before you put lube on it. Just get that coated really good, and then put your drops of lube where you need to on your derailleurs and all that. So you're pre-staging all your parts and cleaning them and get them a good, you use like the wax blend. You don't have to use any of these products specifically. I'm just saying, like, a ceramic coating could be applied to all of them. And if you have one bottle, you can use it on all the other stuff. And again, you don't use a lot of the material. So looking at the, adding it to a package, how that fits in there. It's not something you're going to go, it's just the ceramic coating package. Because, like I just mentioned, you got to take everything off. So you're already there. So it's kind of like it's incorporated with that overhaul, level 3, whatever, the higher up, where you take the drivetrain off, tune-up as an option. You either can include it in the tune-up and have a little bit more expensive tune-up price, or you can have it a la carte as, what we can do as add-on to that. Problem is, a lot of people don't like add-ons because they just feel like they're just getting it. It's like one after another, and it's like, ugh, come on, you're killing me. It was like, yeah, you teased me for the 149 tune-up, and now it's $500. I've worked in shops where the service riders are based on commission. The tune-up, the mechanics in the back are commission-based, so they're blasting through everything they can as fast as they can. It's, rethink that if you're doing that. Can you try to test it on the customer perspective, several different customer perspectives, like grandma and kid that has no money and avid racer, and figure out something that's a little bit better. That'd be your gold nugget of today, is like figure out a way of communicating to your service department that communicates to your community. Because the little extras that I do tell, but they're getting, it's all inclusive, and that's where I kind of work it into my model. So case in point, that you may have to spend a little bit more to get it to this upper package, but we include the parts, which is one tune-up package I saw from one shop. We include the labor for the parts. We do the drivetrain clean, and hey, we're already there. We cleaned the frame. You're halfway there. It only takes a little bit of an applicator, a cleaner, and a polisher. Bam, you ceramic coated that frame. And that gives the added value. The customer goes, wow, when they look at their bike, because they never saw it that pretty before, because it's better than the showroom quality, excluding the scratches and the dings and everything else. But there alludes the upsell and the big smile on their face, warm hug to it. And that's where I found as an effect. And then you talk about that ceramic coating when it does, and if they're familiar with it with their cars, they understand it to some degree, maybe not all the degree. And then you can, provide them, that first. I can't tell you how many times the customer has texted me back the next big ride they did, and it was all muck, and they're like, I just have to tell you, I rinsed off my bike, and it just shed all the stuff off. Like, it was like, wow, So that's one of those things where you're enhancing that customer loyalty. So that customer perspective, you've taken care of their baby. Most likely they've named it. It gives them, it's their extension of their body if it's fitted correctly. It's their experience and their mental health. There's their way to get, feel like they're doing something good. And you're the catalyst, you're the person that helped them get there and stay there. And that's where you get that retention of higher level customer service. And then you're showcasing your expertise of your department or your mechanic yourself. You're like, this is what I can do, right? I mean, not just a sample, like, I made your bike uber nice, like super pretty, and that kind of thing. And that's what I was doing to all the bikes that I was refurbishing to sell. It makes it pop in pictures. It makes it pop in person. Even though they may not even have a concept of what all I've done to it, but overall they have that overall sensation of like, oh, you did so much to this bike. I feel really confident and comfortable buying it from you. Where case in point, we're having a hard time selling bikes right now. So any little thing will help out for sure. So that's the service department portion of it as a package. What I would do is add it to a higher level package because you got to strip everything down. So those who have that $5,000 to $10,000 bike, adding another 50 or 150 bucks to that package, whatever fits into your cost of running business, to have that, be able to do that. The products are all not that expensive. Unless you do the detailing like I showed with the Dremel tool and that kind of thing, that can get a little bit of lift, but not too bad. It's a lot cheaper than park tools, honestly. So, and then, if you burn out one, it's only like 50 bucks, that kind of thing. And it's like one of those things where if a couple of your guys are get into it, or if they are already into car detailing on their own cars and they love bikes and are working on bikes too, they can actually apply their practice, their skill set onto that, which adds to a whole new level, that kind of thing. And then lastly but not least, on the service department portion of it, it could also be used on the sales floor department. If you have that technical skill set and, that paint has not been touched except for a wipe down when it got out of the box, right? When it's new. I'm talking about new bikes. That new bikes, it could be a package that you can upsell, which I've combined into a package of mine. You can check it out on my website or the video that I released a couple weeks ago. Is, with that level up, man, post guys here, stuff that goes out. Anyway, I'll have to drive later. Sorry about the sidebar. I incorporated 3 things that is missing to bike sales, for new bike sales. One is the static fit. Please, people, bring back the static fit. I don't know how many times my customers have come to me and gone, I walked out with a new bike and that looks good-ish. You can do better. Throw it on a trainer, do a little adjustments, show them how to use the gears right there, especially on e-bikes, please. Show them how to use all those gears. They need to know how to shift gears on the e-bike. I mean, they're burning through drive chains because they're not shifting. It doesn't matter if they're an avid cyclist or not. Different componentry, different shifters. It's The shifting on Shimano and SRAM are completely different. Or the e-bike, the electronic shifting is programmable. Go take the extra mile and do that. It gives them the more of a warm hug. It makes them feel more comfortable than just walking out of Walmart with a bike. That perspective. So fit was one thing. The second one was the wax chains, and as all of us know in the cycling industry, the packing grease is okay. And then they put drip lube on there, and the trains wreck the drivetrain, and then you're doing a tune-up on a mucky muck mess. This is like forward thinking for your service department later on, because if they have a wax chain on there, they're going to need wax servicing at some point if they're not wanting to do it themselves. And then you can sell the living heck out of the wax-only drip lubes, like from Silka. This stuff is not cheap, and you don't need to buy the big bottle, as you know. You just need a little one. Show them how to use it. The benefit of it is you're not getting this crap. I mean, that's all you have to show them, and they're like, I'm done. Like, average individuals are like, good, I'll take that. I don't want black chain rings on my shorts or my legs, and I smear it over our white couch at home. All that stuff. So the wax properties for the average consumer is the cleanliness, and it shifts smoother, and it's quiet. And then you can go into it saves and preserves the componentry, and the wear and tear on the chains lasts longer, and the jockey pull. So you can beat them to death while the technical aspect of it. Then you can follow up on the end and go, saves you 8 watts, if that means anything to you. So in any case, that's where you can really incorporate detailing and into a package for sale to resell package. I'm landing between 100 and 150 for that new bike redo. And that just gives them a better shifting bike that's new. It gets a cleaner, sparkly, polished opportunity to sell a refresher. You got these two products as a salespeople to go, hey, this is for your chain, and this is for your refreshing that ceramic coating on that bike. That's, I know retail. Come on, I've worked in it for so long. It's all about selling the UPC, how many quantities per action or per transaction, UPCs, right? No. Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry, customers. That's, that's how we stay in business, because this is the stuff we make 50% off of. The bikes we make like 20% off now, and we have to pay for lights and overhead insurance and everything else in between, and salary. So there is that cost. And cycling world has always been a very tight budget. So anything we can add as an additive to Upsell. And how many of you out there have a bike shop has this on your shelf and never showed anybody how to use it, or even know how to use it yourself? The $29 4-ounce bottle. I mean, mechanics probably do. Salespeople are probably like, oh, that's a lube. That's about as far as their training. So, not all of you, but I know some of you probably worked in a shop and like, yep, that's me. So I've been there. I'm totally admit, like, hey, I have like 16 lubes here. What do they do? I have no freaking clue. Some do well, and that's what we use in the service department, because it seems to break through all the crap you already put on there. But other than that, but now there's really been some really honest to God testing on some of this stuff, and it's on YouTube from Zero Friction and other people. You can actually formulate your own opinion how this stuff works. At least it gives you an idea how to make up an opinion, versus like, I used it once on my bike, that kind of thing. So, any case. All right. Okay. So that concludes the script. Now we get to do the fun stuff on the last portion of this. This is where the chat will open up. I'll actually read some of these. All right, going back on chat here. Since you have been in a rabbit hole of ceramic coating, what brands do you prefer? Okay, I answered that. Yeah, Lithium works pretty well. The Atoms graphene coating, which is twice as much or a little bit more expensive for the volume size. 12 ounces versus 16. That's where they get you to. Watch for the volume ounces. This stuff got sticky. That's why there's a pin in there. So it gummed up my, the spray portion. It works pretty well. I did it on one car, did the other on the other. They both, I mean, the performance factor is about the same, but the application is a little more trickier on this, and you don't get as much. So I don't think this is stackable. You don't really stack it because when you reapply it, it takes the whatever's on there and kind of smear, makes it liquid again-ish. I could be totally wrong on that, but that's what I feel like, what I've seen. But I've been told by Lithium specifically, you can stack it, put a layer, let it dry, put another layer, let it dry. And that gives you extra coats. And for bike frames, that helps because it helps you get through all those nicks and crannies, so at least all the parts get covered at least once. That's the tricky bit because there's so many little angles on it and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I would suggest on product wise. Yeah, and as to you, Stu, ceramic coating will keep you 10 miles per hour faster. Phew, slick. With the wax chain, you're winning the tour, which I haven't had a chance to watch any of it yet. I've been too busy. Harbor Freight is also a good place to look for rags and expensive spray bottles, stuff like that, for sure. The mats that I'm standing on, Harbor Freight, you're kind of like, I used to work at Big Five Sporting Goods, which is a sporting good chain, which competes against Walmart, and they had like 500 locations. And we were kind of like the competitor of the Walmart, not so much Dick's Sports or, Shields or Sports Academy and that. We're more of like the lower price point. That's kind of where Harbor Freight is with tool stuff. And, they had decent stuff, and they just buy a lot of things at bulk volume, clearance, or what have you, just like Big Five did. But they had these floor mats, and they were super cheap. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. If they last me a season, that's great. I'm on my third season with these, fourth season on these. Yeah, they're starting to look a little rough, but they're still cushy underneath my flip-flops. I mean, I've worked in retail and service departments for the last 35 years. I've been standing on concrete, and this is probably the most comfortable scenario I've had out of all the experiences. So just heads up. And it's easier to clean, and when you drop something, it doesn't shoot off across the shop to some portal dimension, so it helps it slow down that trajectory of that micro screw. So not a plug at all. This is what I use, as well as most of the stuff here. But that's where I kind of formulated this whole like ceramic coating, detailing. It could be an added benefit to your service department. It could be definitely an added benefit to your customers. The customers can actually do it themselves, which a lot of people are. I implore anybody that has bikes to do this themselves, to clean their bikes and polish it and put a ceramic coating. You're getting to know your bike a little bit better, and not just throwing it in the corner. And therefore, if your experiences of riding down the line are going to be less interrupted by neglect of the bike, because you're on the thing. You're taking two legs, and then you're putting yourself on two wheels that move. So think about that. You want that as safe as possible. So the more attention you're paying to your bike, the better. That's why it's like, hey, learn how to fix a flat. Learn how to do those adjustments. And if you whack it up, take it to the shop, and we'll either magically fix it in front of you, and you'll be like, is above your skill set, which is fine. That's what we're here for. Or you pick up on something going, oh, that's how you do that. Okay, you're just getting better to know your bike. Safer all the way around. So in any case, that's my little soapbox on that one. All right, Frank, thanks for chiming in. I'm sure I've been asked before, but is clear wrap a decent alternate to ceramic coating? Well, it's two different things. Those wraps are kind of like a big plastic shield for mountain biking. They're like a plastic shield for underneath and rock impact points and so forth, which you can do, which they have kits for that. But if anybody has seen those after a few years, they turn yellow and ugly. If you top it off with this to cover the rest of the frame, you're going to be better off. It'll protect that coloring of the plastic, give it more of a water barrier seal around the edge lips so you don't get gunk underneath there. If you've ever seen those, that's just ugly. No, so it just adds that layer of protection. So I would do both. If you're thinking about doing the wrap underneath for a mountain bike, that kind of thing to protect it, do both. And then you can refresh it, and that just gives you an extra water barrier on your paint, and that's what you're protecting, right? So that's what I would suggest. And if you're doing like car wraps, I've always wanted to start doing some just testers on car wrap material on bike frames, just to whatever, just for fun, just for protection. I mean, that car wrap is a very, very thin, stretchy material, fits in there. And you've probably seen videos, you've seen any detail on that. Then you do put coatings on it to keep it protected and bead and all that stuff. I'm not sure of the technical properties of those wraps, of how they shed and everything, but I've seen like cars wrapped like gold or shiny silver and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy. They've gone crazy with them. And oh yeah, Stu was talking about quiet is key for drivetrain. For wax, it's just like super smooth, quiet. Shifting's a lot smoother, that thing for sure. Hopefully I'm hitting all your questions or forethoughts. Definitely chime in on the chat portion here if you have like, well, what did you find about this? And if I don't know, I'll tell you exactly. I have no clue, but I've been playing with it for a year and a half on actual services, including all the bikes I refurbished to sell, to add that higher level wow factor. And I saw an opportunity to include that into a service package, more so in the new bike realm, as well as I've been doing it on the just regular used bike service for a while now. Included that, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback from a lot of my customers. So therefore, it is case and tested, case in point. It does work in a service department. You can apply that to your service library. I would probably suggest add it to your higher level tier or mid-range tier, and then that kind of justifies the price a little bit. And here we're going to go into the fun part. You should always have samples, right? Show and tell, easy to show and tell a customer. And every bike shop has, like in the back, like a crap ton of done wheels or a few frames that are toast, and you got it. So this is where you're going to get some actual visual proof of how this crap actually does work. So let me timestamp that. Show and tell. We are at 1:23. Okay, so I did a video a couple years back, or no, a couple years, it feels like a couple years back. It's been a long year, about a year back, and you can look at my library to find it. And basically, if you saw it, you recognize this frame. Well, it's a crack. We talked about that earlier. And this was a great test. So I put lithium ceramic coating, ceramic slam on the front part here. And this is at the beginning of my venture. Then I put the graphene atoms, graphene and ceramic spray coating, advanced, on the back part. And then the acid test, neutral, was just cleaned. So all the surfaces were pre-prepped the same, but the middle part was not touched with any ceramic coatings, and the coatings are front and back. After I did the video and all that, this has been chucked in my backyard, outside, for a good lap around the sun. Snow, rain, hailstorms, everything. Dog peed on it once, probably. Lightning almost probably hit it, but it's not a conductive. Is it? No, it's not a conductive material, so I don't think you're going to die so much on aluminum versus hard steel. But hey, I love the risk of steel. But in any case, it has had all the elements. And being a vibrant red, this is something that would be really good to test, because red would probably fade or show some fading in sun. And the tape portions I have not taken off. You can see they're weathered. They've been on there since. A little bit of dirt left on that side, that kind of thing. So we're going to show this off. But before that, yes, I'm going to leave you on your uh, show you what was done. And this is another test frame. This is kind of like, what was that DC villain? Split face. He had like one face, one side, other face, like whatever, two-faced. Was it just called two-faced? I think it was just called two-faced. Okay, so this one had the ceramic coating done on one side, and it had nothing done on the other. So you can see on one side the high bead level content, and then on the other side the beads are smaller. And if this was a flat, like a car hood, it would be just flat, basically, on there. So it's not dripping out as much, but the ceramic coating side is super, super high bead, and a couple runs, or whoop, you wipe that off and it comes right off, and it still feels super slick. And you do this side and you kind of feel the roughness. So this is a good senses to the customer to be able to feel, oh, this is rough and this is super smooth. Okay, I stole that from my friend John Bradley, because back in the day he worked for WD-40, and WD-40 came out with a bike product line, and they came up with this shit. He still had a bottle of it and gave it to me. Same concept. He'd go in, he'd put it on your bike frame that you're working on, and you're like, run your finger across that. You know, it was almost kind of, you know, too intimate. Intimate. So in any case, so for if you had a shop, you could do either direction. I just did mine like two-face, but smoother on one side and one on the other. So this frame has not been exposed to any elements. It's just hanging in my rafter, and I use it as the show and tell the customers when they come in. So you have this, right? So you're like, okay, that's what it does in comparison. And I had a bummed up, beautiful Project One frame that I showed earlier in the video, which is this guy. Beautiful paint, blue, flames, Project One says on the side. So sad this doesn't work out. But I did the whole detailing and ceramic coating, and it's still super smooth even today. Did that over about a year ago for a sample. This is what your frame could look like, as in a pop kind of thing. You can do it, you can do a split or a tape cut line and show them with the water, whatever. Or you just do one frame for example, for detailing. So that's what you can do in the shop. It's like, hey, this is what we do with the ceramic coating, and you can tell them all the benefits. Make it, you have a printout and what have you. So, case in point. So, okay, so that's your upsell or educational bit of what it does, what it looks like, and all that. Questions? Okay. Now we're going to show this guy off. And again, I literally just pulled this out, and you saw the picture in the thumbnail. I picked it up this morning and took a picture of it out of the blackberry bed, and here it is. So it looks dirty. It looks like your typical dirty bike, that kind of thing. And okay, we're going to check the lithium side. And I'm seeing a lot of flat. Okay, so it's over a year, so it's been there for a while, and that's what I got for flat here. In my video I showed this, it did show flat, but actually has a little bit of a drop. And here's the atoms. Well, I'll be damned. A little black, it's a little harder to see on the, well, it's flat on the bottom, but it has a little bit higher bead yield on top. So I would say probably the atoms probably held up just a little bit better. Let me check the bottom, because I did do the bottoms too. So the lithium's up front. It's got some drippage, but it's flat. Middle is flat. And on the bottom here, it's just as flat. So maybe a little bit of retention on the top part. And granted, who knows? Was I a little more generous on the top? Did I shake the bottle right? Did I do the ceramic coating dance? Whatever the case may be. So they do wear out-ish. What they're doing is the contaminants fills in all little micro voids, and then it captures and holds that water. The ceramic coating is technically still there. It doesn't magically go, we're gone. We're no longer here. So there alludes to the cleaning. So let's do, this is the graphene series of degreaser grime wave. Actually, do the waterless one. The G series, this guy here, it's cute. H2No. 16 ounces, water free, graphene, and let's see. Basically, spray directly on surface to wash clean, allow product to remain 1 to 2 minutes and wipe down with a microfiber. So since this has a lot of contaminants, it's like obviously I'm not going to redo it, right? So I'm going to avoid the middle area because it's just like you're not going to do that if you're doing the middle area. 2 minutes. So while we're sitting there for a second for cleaning, and you can see I have some pretty good grimage right here that we'll get with the towel, and therefore we'll get it to clean off. But the idea is you clean it, and this is more new to me, then you use the boost or the color crush, and what that does is helps fill in all those irregular contaminated areas on a micro level, and then it helps shed that bead right off. Could you just recoat it if it's super clean? Sure, but this is like a lot less expensive, and it's probably not as intense, and it's formulated to work with the ceramic coating. So I'll go ahead and wipe that off. Wow, that just took off all that gunk right where I sprayed. So that's all clean. And we'll get the coating here. And for giggles, I'm going to spray it again with water just to see what the state of the state is after just using that in itself. So, we got a little bit of a bead action now up front. So basically we've gotten rid of that's the higher level bead content. So we basically cleaned off the ceramic coating. So it's dry here and it's just shedding. Same thing here. And to show you, still flat in the middle where there's nothing been done to it. So we got that. Okay. Rag. So wipe off the water. Okay, so now we have call a clean surface to resurrect the dead, and we're going to add the color crush. And again, a lot of different brands have a boost of some sort. It's like a ceramic coating boost of some sort. So you apply that. Okay, this is just a frame, and I'm holding it. I would be applying this to a rag, then putting it on if I have a whole bunch of componentry on there. Different formulations probably work better with its own brand. I don't have the Adams version of this, but that's what that is, the color crush. And it's, it should work well with the Adams too. Color crush creates a layer of polymers and SiO2 on your paint with a little clay bar. Oh yeah, the whole clay bar thing is another thing you can add. I tried it, I got a sample of it. I tried it with all these little surfaces and so forth. It's kind of hard to use. Gives unreal shine for seconds and seconds. Spray color crush onto a clean surface. Covers about 3 square feet area. Buff to unreal shine and clean with a microcloth towel. This product stacks extremely well. and can be applied as often as you would like. Cure time approximately 4 hours. So similar to the just the regular, yeah, cure time. What is that cure time? Anyway, so for time limitations, stackable means you put it on, let it dry, let it cure, do it again, rinse, recycle, repeat. Take care of your baby. Make sure it's double checking, trusty steed. Think of a good name for it. Mr. Sparkle Pants or something like that. Shiny red Robin Hood, Robin, what have you. So the idea is you basically refresh that ceramic coating to similar like new. With lithium products, it's stackable, so you can stack the original ceramic coating on there, which gives you that higher level bead shell, and then it gives you the opportunity to get the frame pretty much covered several times to at least every area, like the little areas that you may have missed once, you at least got once. Covers it good. And then you can do the same thing with Color Crush. Every week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you're reviving that ceramic coating. And then you go for your rainstorm again, and bam, that bead on both is right where a freshly ceramic coated frame is. And as you're riding, it's just gonna roll right off. As in case of point, our middle section is still flat. It's flatting out. So it's still capturing. So there we go. We were able to refresh a ceramic coating of 2 different brands that's over a year and a month or so, or 2, have been out in elements, straight elements. Okay, straight elements. That's not everybody's bike unless you're a college kid and you leave it outside. Most of us, with our babies, we put them in the garage or some safe, secure area, not exposed to any massive Two-Face. That's right. Thanks, Frank. Two-Face for, Batman, Robin. I got Two-Face. That's my Two-Face frame. Now it's going to be called Two-Face frame. Oh yeah, and this frame had a crack head tube. Didn't see it when I bought it. It's like, mother. And I found it when I was doing the detailing. Same thing with the Specialized. The Trek Project 1 was a different sad story. Somebody bondoed the C-post in there, and I destroyed the C-post trying to get it out, and it scarred up the inside of the carbon where the bondo was still stuck to the steel aluminum. I don't feel comfortable selling the frame because the inside's scarred. I don't know if it was still going to hold for somebody, even though it's a small frame. I just, rather not, in any case. And it makes a great, pretty, if you're not a truck person, at least it's flames. It's hot. It's hot. Okay, where I was going with that. Yeah, so there you have it. You got your tests. All those tests I've seen out there, I really haven't seen any chemical test compounds. There was another person that chimed in and was like, I'd like to see some actual real lab, like what they do. They all have some lab work put into them, of course. Lithium really claims to that too. They do a lot of testing on their stuff before they actually release their product. And again, their philosophy is not to get everything out there or just name something. The product actually, they want to stand behind their products like it works. Concept, which is great, even if it kind of doesn't work as much as they think it does, whatever. Still, they put some effort into it versus just marketing it out and it does everything. You're not going to find them in Walmart like you do see some of the Atom stuff out. They're a corporation, good for them. They're Colorado-based. They're branched out. Adams himself is pseudo-retired, big company now, built it himself. He started off detailing frames. That's where the product came from Adams. You can find that on my Amazon link, Amazon store, the products that I have used. But the Lithium, I do have a 15% discount code, which is in the description. So if you want to check that out, that's awesome. Any case, that's where, that's where you can enhance your ride. to last longer. And you spend a big coin on a bike, you want that to be pretty. And then if you're an avid cyclist, you know you're going to end up selling her or him at some point. So if the paint and it's still beautiful and you revive it like we did with the Specialized S-Works, and you put it on, your marketplace or Craigslist or eBay, it's going to show better in the pictures, and they see it in person. It's going to be like, wow, that actually looks good and clean. I can't tell you how many dirty bikes I rolled up on to buy, and it's just like, man, you do not put in effort. But in any case, people, it's not a seller's market right now. And honestly, if you have a 2000 up bike that you're trying to move, you're gonna need to put some polish on it. Like, he wants to sell that for $3,500. It's gonna be a tough sell because it's older. Even though it's new, the new ones are not that much more. So maybe, but if it's ceramic coated with wax chain and I fit the individual, that might be enough to sell it to somebody in any case. So there's a case in point on that. But when you're looking at all those things, it's, as a customer, you want to protect your investment, right? And bikes have become more and more expensive, so why not spend a little bit of money to put into it? And again, like I said, these products, holy cow, I mean, it took me forever to get through the HyperClean, but eventually did. For doing this for a year and a half, I think this is my third bottle, but I do have to admit, I dropped it once and spilt out some of it. So it's gone through a lot of bikes. And I'm talking about more than just my service bikes. I do it on all the bikes that are refurbished and parts and everything else in between. And you may not like, okay, it's still too expensive. You can just get something inexpensive or a wax blend ceramic from Walmart. I'm just saying, whatever fits your budget or what you want to put into it, something is definitely going to be better than nothing on a new or used paint. They will all agree upon that. Same thing with drivetrains. Any lube is better than no lube, right? But what we prefer is cleaning it first from everything, from packing grease from new to all the old contaminant crap on there, whatever, then apply whatever you prefer, because that lube is designed to not mix with anybody else. They're very arrogant prick lubes. They don't want to play with anybody else, so you don't want to have anything else on there. Some of the products out there for ceramic coating and so forth, they probably are designed to work better with their own brand, but they probably will work crossover, like a ceramic refresh will probably work similar. There's a lot of the chemicals are similar. I mean, not the same, but similar. But I'm not a chemist. Prove me wrong. Tell me, like, don't do that because it'll gum it up or whatever. Put it in the comments below on that part of it. But that's where we're looking at in that perspective. So in any case, it's it's going to make this bike look like better than when you bought it. I'm going to measure all the parts, so when everything gets switched out, it's going to be close to the same fit, but still fit it to them. Wax his drivetrain, get that ceramic coating, so that ever shame boo-boo accident of muffing up or driving your car in a garage or whatever, you have that sinking feeling of like, I messed up. Hopefully they'll make it go, look, it's okay. It's all beautiful now. It's fine. And it's better than it was before. And they're like, oh, okay, this has got me to get to you to make things right and better. So that's what we do as a service department. We want to make you feel better about whatever may happen. Either you wore out your bike by riding, which is great. That means you need more work on it, that's justifiable. Or you had an accident, and then we'll fix it to be better. And then you feel more confident about riding or being out there riding. We're trying to help keep the community going, right? That's what, that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? In a sense. There is a business component to it, of course. We're going to, try to upsell you some stuff. But hopefully, if we're selling it to you correctly, it's not really selling. It's just added suggestion like, probably should use this. This will help you out. And that's where a lot of people, including myself, warmly, like, oh, where do I really need to go with this? It's not just out the door. Throwing out the door without a fit, A lot of these bike shops are shooting themselves in the foot. Provide a static fit. Service departments can provide a static fit. You add some elevated services to enhance their ride. I mean, I'm pretty much, at first, I was really skeptic of the waxes, and I put it on a couple of my really good, very vocal customers. And they came back on, that stuff's great. It's quiet. It's awesome. It shifts smooth. It's not dirty. I can actually work on my bike without having to put these on every time. So from there, it's not just a, here, try this. I mean, I need you to buy this to keep me in business. It's more, this will keep your bike going better. So get a bottle of this. This will protect your frame that you just spent $4,000 on. You know, even get your own little kit, like make a kit, that kind of thing. You know, you can become a wholesaler to one of these, brands. The thing is we're so pigeonholed, like it has to be a bike company to really be bike stuff eccentric. Nope. Car paint, car products. Win-win. Not too expensive. Been tested, tried, and true. Why are we trying to buy a product from somebody that does try to do end-all be-all of everybody? Like, other brands out there that carry some ceramic kind of cleaning products. So not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they haven't tested and tried it and all that, but that's not what they do. It's kind of like on bike chains. Bike chains, get the Connex chain if you can, if it works with your system, because it's a German chain company from Wipperman, and it is a little more expensive, but it's better designed, it'll last longer. They make a stainless steel version of it, and that's all they do. I mean, chains, right? Majority of what they do is chains. So that's kind of like case in point in here. They are trying to protect that paint, make it pop, mixed materials. Same thing with cars, plastic, rubber, all that stuff. They have interior cleaning. I guarantee you the little tin that they have for leather is the same stuff for the Brooks saddles, or similar to. It looks very similar. It smells the same. It looks the same. But in any case, I mean, that's where I'm getting at to in a long about way. And yes, sorry, this is live, and my grammar ain't that great, and you're subjected to it. And my more polished videos, I edited a lot of it out. So thank you for hanging in for this long and so forth. And I hope in the future date, people are watching this at a later time, I hope you got some valuable information out of it. But let me show you where you can get some of these products to get through the weeds of all of it. It's just insane how much or many different products that they make and how you can get lost by just shopping. And I try to simple it down by, I'll try to just simple it down for you peoples. And let's see here. Lithium car product. Okay, let me pull this up real quick for us. All right, so this is what we're looking at, right? And if you do my link, it'll say you're now shopping with Justin Bollinger. It's super simple. The 15% off code is the guy. So there we go. So they have interior, new release, exterior product list on there. What we are looking at today is mainly exterior stuff. I was going to say componentry. They only have 14 products. The seal and squeal. So with Adams, I've used a compound and a polish, but with talking to Lithium, they say that's basically all in one for them. So you don't need two products and two application processes if you're doing fine detailing to that bike frame or car. So it cuts that out for time and also product usage. So, and that's, $40. So that's the one product, but you want to clean your bike or clean your frame first. The trim serum is more like what it says. It's the trim, the ceramic coating will work on all the trim-like style stuff on a bicycle. Double tap is a cleaner. That's a car soap. I don't suggest foaming anything on a bike. The wheelie is like your chrome wheels, that kind of thing. But there's other product, Color Crush. That's the final result one. So we're talking, that's the second item in the library here, I would suggest. And then you have the Ceramic Slam, which is the actual ceramic coating. Those guys, it's on sale for $29.99. Not too bad. And then that's the clay bar stuff I was talking about. It's kind of like a slick thing with a clay bar, and it's supposed to pull up any kind of weird contaminants in the paint. It does work, but I kind of don't recommend. I mean, you can do it if you want, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's not really that applicable to bike frames because it's not a flat, big surfaces that you do on cars. But if you can do it under car, might as well just double up. So these are the newer products that came out. The Grime Wave is a cleaner. I have some Avalanche on order. That's supposed to be a graphene paint sealant, which might be good for more on the mountain bike scene, that kind of thing. And then there's the H2No, which is the cleaner after you've had a ceramic coating on there. That helps rejuvenate it. And then the best cream of the crop here, which they're sold out of, which I couldn't order yet, is the Ceramic Shield Mudslide. This is probably going to be those who do a lot of mountain biking, muddy mess rides. That's the probably product that you're going to want to go with instead of the Ceramic Slam. So those are the three out of the four. I don't know why the cleaning product, I guess it's just under their all shop. Oh, there it is, the Hyper Clean. This stuff was crazy and not too expensive. And actually clean bar tape, like white bar tape, turned to be not dirty, at least not too dirty. I mean, it actually pulled a lot of the grime up, that's why I don't have much of it left, because I was using it cleaning bar tape up. But it is great for, the surface and so forth. And that's what's designed to kind of pre-treat or clean. If you don't want to get that, just get yourself a bottle of rubbing alcohol. But there's that. So looking at all, the four main products that I suggested, get you, I think it's, if it's not on sale, probably around 120, 130. That is exactly the same box price that Silka is selling for their type of stuff. So the market is about the same for that kind of thing. This is something you could either, apply for if you're a business, you can apply for a wholesale version of this, and you can make your own package and sell it to your own customers, which I'm going to look into. There's that Leather Love. Does that look very similar to the Brooks, like Brooks Pro Live? This is the Brooks one. Anyway, so I mean, there's different ways you can cut and slice and dice it, whatever you feel comfortable with for your shop and what your business. I mean, if you're just a mobile repair person like me, some of this stuff will work really well to add that as a service, especially if you have samples of it. And we've got a lot of ratings and so forth, and they put a lot of chemistry portion putting into it, graphene coating, and they have some bits in there before and afters. But yeah, this is definitely their Kool-Aid page, but it actually is not too bad. I mean, it's actually works pretty well. Then again, honestly, if you just need something, like I mentioned before, you can get their products off of Amazon too. They're listed there, as well as the Atoms. So you can click it and you put it in your shopping cart and have it sent to your house. Or with I think Atoms you can buy direct too, but I've found the prices a little cheaper online or when they have a sale on their Amazon account. Lithium, though, they just had a 4th of July sale. I think it just expired, but they did pretty hefty discounts, so you can keep an eye out for that. But just get what you need for now, and when you see the big sale go on, then do that. And the coupon on there gives you 15% off, so that helps with a little bit of the sting on that right out of the gate. So, they're looking into doing a little bit into the cycling market. I mean, they approached me, but I approached them back. I'm like, hey, I think we have something here that you might actually fill a void that's in the cycling industry where they really haven't. They tried. I mean, everybody knows Bike Lust from Pedro's, which actually the same formulation where Trek used for Bike Lust. And it may have been the same company that made it for both companies. And it had like that vanilla smell to it and all that warm fuzz feeling. That's what I remember of the late 90s. And before that, I mean, we really didn't do much than just like go down to your local hardware store and get turtle wax or something of that nature. Well, the graphenes and the ceramic coatings, what I've seen so far, outlast and outperform the waxes. Therefore, that's where it's become more beneficial to spend your time working on that frame, either from a service department perspective or a consumer perspective. And then once it has that complete ceramic coating, like you just saw, spray it down with the color crush, and boom, you're revived. Or whatever brand that whatever Kool-Aid that you decided to dive into. That's why I should probably call it Kool-Aid. My own formulation. But in any case, that's your takeaway. Just don't spray it onto the bike. Spray it into the fiber cloths or the applicators away from it. You don't want all those particles to drift over onto your disc brakes and contaminate your other areas if you don't have it removed. But if it's all removed and able to clean it, like an overhaul scenario, strip down to the frame, and then you can do those kinds of things. And if you have a steel frame, that's where I think steel is really good for this. Application is really good for steel frames, because even if you chipped your frame to the steel, it's going to give that a protective layer barrier, or you put a little bit of clear coat as a little bubble on there, and that gives it basically covers that area of prevention of rust. And with stainless, it just helps it, stainless steel frames or titanium strains actually just sheds. And as well regular paint. And on carbon, it's safe because most carbon has a clear coat of some sort on there, because you just can't really have exposed carbon. You can, but they don't want water or any, it's still a porous material. So they don't want, you still have to have they want to have a barrier on there, but you don't want that stuff, whatever, seeking in there. And especially if it's a degreaser or something of that nature, you don't want that seeking into the carbon fiber, because it'll eventually break that down, to my knowledge. I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. I could be completely wrong. In any case, it's better to have something on there than nothing. so that's what I'm going to go with, and that's what I'm going to stick to. So in any case, that's my song and dance about ceramic coating and polishing and detailing, what the benefits for customers, how it benefits for shops if they want to add that as a service, that kind of thing. It's got to a point here. Now I'm starting to get really hot, getting close to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, so I need to close that garage door and get some work done without sweating to death. In any case, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you got some insights there. Hopefully it's something that you maybe gold nugget here and there. May apply it, may not. Maybe you're like, oh, that's just a whole bunch of malarkey and I don't, whatever. I'll do my own thing. But again, if you buy a bike that's like any bike that's new, why not, right? It's, you're protecting your investment, and cars are the same, but unfortunately cars are very expensive to have done. Bikes, you can actually fold it into your service packages to be not that much of an uplift for customers, especially if they had their car or boat ceramic coated. You're talking in the thousands of dollars for being that done. Or if, they do make the products user friendly. Atoms and Lithium alike have designed a lot of their products to not just be pro usage only. Pros use them because it's good stuff, but it's, when you're looking at new, it's, you watch those videos on cars, like I got a new car, I'm going to ceramic coat it. It makes it a lot easier. Case in point, that's why I have a package of just ceramic coating it right out of the gate, and also waxing that chain to do a fitting. And that way that customer has a little bit better experience on their bike going forward. Well, thanks again for hanging out with me on Shop Talk Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with me for this long through it. I'm going to go through the chat, make sure I didn't miss anybody that chimed in. Six Pack Kid, thanks again for the coffee. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps, right? As a bike shop person. Randy, thank you for chiming in. You're one of my stables, as well as Colossals. Colossus? I know I'm butchering that, but great point on looking at the chemical details. That's with anything. You don't want to get yourself, and always use any of this stuff in an air. Not that it's that bad or anything, but it's always good practice to do all this kind of stuff in more of an aired area, and don't do it in your kitchen. That's just usually a mess, and you don't want to get yelled at or have a bad mess to clean up yourself. And I hope you found some insights there, RK Bells, on ceramic coating a bike versus your Audi. I hope you're enjoying that ceramic coating on your Audi. And hope you learned that you got a refresher booster. They have like soaps that they use to clean as well as the application. The soap thing I think is a little overkill for bikes, but that's kind of my perspective on that. Oh, Jester, I didn't catch that. Jester _1. Ceramic coat is safe on matte finishes. Yes, I did it at the earlier part of the show. This specialized new bike paint is a matte finish. It makes it a little shinier-ish, but it doesn't take the matte away at all, and it is perfectly safe to use it on a matte finish for sure. Oh, not to be nosy, Randy. Randy said, not to be nosy, but what do you charge for the service? For the fitting, wax chain, ceramic coating of a new bike, I'm shooting at 150. It's probably, I mean, my overhead is not as much, so you might be able to charge more for it if you have more of the established, more setting. I'm more of like a test lab, if you will, scenario of bike shop kind of life. Overhead's a lot less. It's based on time to do those 3 services with end to end. You're looking at 3 to 4 hours for me. But I wax a chain while I'm doing other things. The ceramic coating, you clean, you apply, you let it sit, and then most of the other half of the time is actually sitting with the customer when they're checking in the bike, explaining it, what they're going to be needing to be done or what have you, and then the other part of it is actually invoicing and also doing the actual fitting and meeting with the pickup and talking about the refresher of the wax and as well as that. So it's kind of almost like half of the work is you're working on, and the other half is actually taking care of the customer in person. So that all depends on how you roll with your business. But that's what I suggest. But if you're just adding that to an elevated package like the ceramic coating portion of it, and you have to do the detailing of that, that's like 150 just for that uplift, not the wax chain, which is separate, and also the fitting is, I include it with it, so I'm not considering that. But with my tune-up package, that's where I see the 150 up elevated. I can see that price point. For me though, since it's been more of a test run kind of thing, I've tampered the price on that a little bit. But that's one of those things when I do have and when I get to a bigger following, I can in small amounts increase that, service package. So if you get a following of a team, like, ooh, we all want that done on team bikes and so forth, you can do that. Or if it's a volume, you can discount it, whatever. But that's what I suggest. It's the detailing portion of like with the buffing pads and so forth and cleaning and all that. That is a good hour and a half time to the tune-up additive. So you can, at whatever shop rate you want to fold that in, that's what I suggest on that. So great question, Randy. Sorry I missed that earlier. I was more talking than reading. Mark, thanks for joining in. GPA, yeah, GA Bike Shop, New York. You chimed in several times before. Thanks. Jay for chiming in as well. Always a pleasure. Oh, my name is Justin, by the way, not Jay. Anyway, call me whatever. Jeff, dumbass. I respond to all. Let's see here. 6-pack kids, since you have been. Oh, yeah, we talked about that. The brands. Thanks, Stu. Thank you for chiming in. Appreciate it for your insights. Thanks, Frank, for adding some added insights there. All right. And then we have the Two-Face. That was about the frame earlier if you're just now watching. All right. Thanks, guys. That pretty much covers everybody in the chat. Watching this on a replay again, put some comments below. If you want to see this without any interruptions with ads, join us on Shop Talk Tuesday on Tuesdays. Case in point, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain time in United States. So might be not the 10 that you're thinking, but the 10 that I'm thinking. In any case, you'll see a notification. Please like and subscribe. Check out those links below. Any information or you want to share, please join the community. Put some comments below if you've seen any best practices out there. If you work in a car detail shop, tell us. Like, what do you think would be the best application for bicycles? And therefore, we will apply or consider applying that to our services as well. Well, then again, thanks again. If it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Have a wonderful day. Ooh, getting toasty. Grass is green. Nice summer day. That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed the frames and all the stuff I have to put away now. Oh boy, that was something. Don't worry, next Tuesday I'll bash on the industry because there's probably something going to go awry. Guaranteed. Something's about ready to go sideways. I feel it. Feel it in my old hips. Old hips or sore hips. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for joining. And if you guys are on the evening time in the European market, thanks for chiming in. Appreciate it. Hope you guys are hope you're doing well over there. We're doing okay over here. We're just, taking everything with a grain of salt and flinching when we try not to watch the news anymore at this point. We just want to ride our bikes. Just this fall, though, it'll be a total crap show. But in any case, thanks again. Woo.